Well, as you mentioned earlier, you've toured quite a few regional towns lately. What's the feeling about the voice in the bush these days?
Well, I mean, they're getting smashed in the regions. That's the reality of it. No one listens to them. And now they're told that they're racist because they don't want the voice. I mean, this is exactly the problem with our country, which is these are the people that they define our nation. They put food on the table, they keep the lights on, they're proud of our nation, they do the right thing, they play by the rules. And then every single time they're talked down to by city-based politicians. And the moral browbeating is only going to get worse. Most people across the regions that we've spoken to don't want to have a race-based body in our constitution in Canberra because they know more than anyone. I mean, don't forget, it's the remote and regional parts of our country that are home to the largest proportion of Indigenous populations, 10, 20, 30% in some parts of these remote communities. They know that what you need to do is get people in jobs, keep kids in school and restore law and order. You don't need to have a Canberra-based bureaucracy full of academics to communicate that basic truth. These are, salt of the earth people. They work on the land. They completely understand the realities and the practical realities of life. So no, they don't want to voice to Parliament. They see this as just another city-based intervention into their lives that we don't need.
Well, one of the most sensible voices on the no side is Tony Abbott. Here's a good clip of him explaining on your podcast why the Liberal Party should unite behind Dutton to oppose the voice. Here's the clip.
Well, Dan, like you, I admire what Peter Dutton has done, and I think that it's important that the Liberal Party oppose this voice, not because we don't feel generous towards Indigenous Australians, of course we do, and not because we don't want to see Indigenous people recognised in the Constitution, of course we do, but this voice is the wrong way of doing it. As you and I have been discussing for months now, Dan, this voice is wrong in principle, it would be disastrous in practice, and the Prime Minister is really trying to stampede us into voting yes to the voice based on the vibe. He's asking us to sign a constitutional blank cheque.
Dan, just quickly, and then we'll move on because the voice is dominating the debate across the country too much at the moment. But I think the key point here that Tony touches on is that the yes side is claiming to be the compassionate ones. And in fact, that's not true. The no side are the ones with the more compassionate solutions to these problems, don't you think?
I completely agree. Tony put it very well, as he always does. He's a great communicator, and you're right. There's nothing compassionate about dividing your nation along racial lines. There's nothing compassionate about having more bureaucracy in Canberra. There's nothing compassionate about morally browbeating fellow Australians. We all want a better outcome for Indigenous Australians, and I think it reveals everything you need to know about Anthony Albanese, that he's quite happy to divide us along every single line. He'll divide us based on politics, based on race, based on gender, based on where you live. He's a divisive leader. Labor is a divisive government. Everyone other than Bob Hawke has been a divisive leader from the Labor side, and they're just reverting to type. This was always going to happen. Peter Dutton has been very clear when he talks about the national interest. It's what John Howard talks about, the national interest. You need to act in the best interest of the nation. And if you are going to do something with recognition in the Constitution, some people will like it and some people will not. But John Howard made the point that, look, it's got to be an 80-20 proposition. You've got to bring 80% of the country with you. What Albanese is doing is a 51-49 proposition. Whether it gets up or whether it loses, it's going to divide us for a very long time. This is not what you do if you want to bring the nation together. And look, many of those who are on the no side have been arguing, look, basically, we don't want to be divided by race. We want to have racial equality. And racial equality is the compassionate thing to do because it recognises that we're all equal and that we shouldn't be divided.